I will be retiring on March the 31st, I think it is. Although obviously I'll be out supporting Labour candidates around Cardiff, but probably officially as an Assembly member. I haven't got long to go now, only 4 weeks, and therefore it's a great pleasure to be here in Chapter, because I think it's been, well, a great success. I'm almost as proud of my participation in the founding of Chapter as in being a founder member of the Assembly or the First Minister, you know. It's quite an emotional day.
You were talking at the beginning of your speech a little bit about how the mood has changed in Cardiff and in Wales this time around. Can you explain a bit more about that?
Yeah, well, I took part as a humble foot soldier in 1979, and slightly more prominently because I was a Member of Parliament in 1997. And the fear of what we would be doing if we were to set up a Welsh Assembly in 79 was palpable. It was pretty strong in 97, although for a different reason then, because they felt, well, we've just elected a hugely popular Labour government and a Prime Minister in Tony Blair who can walk on water. Do we really need anything else beyond that? Because he's going to, you know, produce a land flowing with milk and honey anyway. So why do you need an additional institution? And we have to explain to people, well, you know, a newly elected Labour government, albeit with a landslide, is not going to be there forever. And you do have to have a kind of insurance against Maggie Thatcher coming back or John Redwood coming back or something of that sort. So then people sort of got the idea that it wasn't enough just to have a Labour government elected by a landslide in May 97. In September 97, people could understand that you did need something in addition as an insurance policy for the people of Wales. The people of Wales needed an institution which could give them some autonomy on the domestic agenda.
Last time Cardiff voted a no vote by a small majority. What's the general feeling that you're getting through campaigning this time round in Cardiff?
I think it's much less hostile in the parts of Cardiff where there was a lot of hostility last time. The older age group are more resistant to change. They will probably be still more resistant to change now, and of course there's always a danger because of that, because the older age group tend to vote. The younger age groups tend to be much more pro, but sometimes their turnout is pretty lamentable. So we're desperately trying to make sure that young people do turn out in large numbers, and that we take some of this sort of instinctive fear of change away for the older generation, knowing that they will probably vote anyway, and trying to ensure that they feel part of this adventure, even though they may be instinctively resistant to change.
Your main message seems to be that turnout is incredibly important. You mentioned as well sort of the unrest that's going on in the Middle East at the moment. Would you say that re-emphasises the need for people to vote and use their right to vote in this nation?
Well, whether you think of Libya today or whether you think of Egypt a couple of weeks ago and what went on in Tahrir Square, or in Tunisia just before that, and you think, well, we do make it very easy for people by comparison with those countries, so the least you can do really is to just toddle along to your own individual Tahrir Square down at the polling station. There's a Tahrir Square round the corner from you everywhere in Wales. We do make it easy. And as a result, sometimes because it's so easy, people sometimes don't take advantage of it, and sometimes they may look at what's happening on their television and think, well, maybe since it is so easy in this country, we should actually take advantage of it and not treat it lightly, simply because you're not going to find, you know, opposition from soldiers or tanks or planes flying overhead or trying to threaten you for exercising your democratic rights. Sometimes you don't realise how important something is until you've lost it or you haven't got it. Then you're really desperate to get it. If you've got it, sometimes you can sort of think of it as of not as great a value, but you'd certainly miss it if you didn't have it. If you didn't have the right to vote, you'd certainly miss it.